What if having nothing in your life was actually your biggest advantage? What if the emptiest moment you've ever felt wasn't the end, but the setup for everything you're about to become? We've all stood there, empty pockets, empty hands, and a world that quietly tells us we don't belong. But what if that feeling was never your weakness? Stay with me, because this story might change the way you see your own life. If you enjoy powerful stories that change the way you see life, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. His name was Daniel. A small town, a tiny house, and most days, an empty fridge. Every morning, he walked 5 miles to school in shoes with holes in the bottom. But Daniel carried something no one could see, a quiet belief that his life could be bigger than what it looked like. But everything changed the day his teacher called him to the front of the class. The teacher held up his essay, "My Future," and laughed. "You want to be a businessman? With what? Your empty pockets?" The class followed, and laughter filled the room. Daniel stood there, still and silent. He didn't argue. He didn't react. But something inside him cracked. And what happened after that made everything worse. That night, he sat outside his house. The street was quiet, too quiet. He looked at his hands slowly, and for the first time in his life, he questioned himself. Maybe they're right. Maybe people like me aren't meant to dream big. And just when he started to believe it, life hit him again. That same week, his father lost his job. They couldn't pay rent. They lost the house. One room, one space, one chance to survive. Daniel dropped out of school. One loss led to another, then another, and suddenly it felt like everything was over. One night, Daniel found something in the trash outside a library, a torn book, old, dirty, almost forgotten. He picked it up, the magic of thinking big. That night, under a dim candle, he read every page. And one line stopped him completely. "Your mind is not limited by your wallet." He sat there in a small room with nothing in his pockets and realized something most people never do. What feels like the end is often the beginning in disguise. And that moment changed everything. He didn't become successful overnight. He didn't make a big move. He just started, one small step. He collected old newspapers, sold them door to door, and saved every coin. At night, he wrote ideas in a torn notebook. No audience, no support, just quiet progress. He kept going, every single day, and slowly things started to shift. 5 years later, Daniel owned a small printing business. Not because he got lucky, but because he refused to think small even when life gave him nothing. And here's the truth most people miss. If that teacher had never laughed, he might have never pushed himself. If he never lost his home, he might have never learned how to survive. Every loss had a role. Every pain had a purpose. And maybe this isn't just Daniel's story. Maybe this is yours too. So here are 3 things you need to remember. First, your environment is not your future. Your mindset is. Second, small actions repeated daily will take you further than big plans you never start. Third, the people who doubt you are not your limits. They are your fuel. Because in the end, what feels like the end is often the beginning in disguise. If this story meant something to you, subscribe, like, and share it with someone who needs it today. In the next story, you'll see how a man who had everything lost it all in one night, and what he did next shocked everyone. Don't miss it. Today, Daniel still keeps the torn book on his desk, not as a trophy, but as a reminder. Because sometimes, when life empties your pockets, it's trying to fill your mind. So let me ask you something. Are you still thinking small because life told you to? Or are you finally ready to think bigger than everything holding you back? Because in the end, what feels like the end is often the beginning in disguise.